We're going to continue on our solving for X journey together. We are going to take this one more step, and then we're going to kind of camp out here for a while. We're going to spend tomorrow and then your weekend just kind of practicing this over and over and over and over. So this is example 6 from page 120. Just like every other example, I know it's worked out, but we're going to work it together. So there's one new step that we're going to implement here. So here are the steps we've had. Remember, we were moving all of our x's to the left. We were moving all of our numbers to the right. Then we were doing our, I don't know why I put an A there. Then we were working with our like terms. Oops, that says terms. My pen kind of went wonky. Okay, and the last step is either to multiply or divide. At this point, we're pretty much only dividing. Okay, the new step here that we're going to add in is distributive property. Okay, now, if we think logically about this math problem, we already know without knowing it, but we already know what to do. Order of operations says that we have to start inside of our parentheses. We can't do anything inside of this set of parentheses. Why not? Because they're not like terms. So where do we look? Directly outside. Okay? And remember, we spent a long time on this, and you guys were doing really good on this last time. Of course, we've been out of school for, I don't even know what day it is, so I don't even know when we did this together last. But you guys had this, so let's do a little review course, okay? I'm going to erase all of these so we can stay together here. Distributive property is when we suck this into the parentheses. Remember, we multiply it to every piece, and we stop when that parenthesis stops. Okay, 9 times x is 9x plus 9 times 1 is 9. Okay, then we have to do the same thing on the other side of the equal sign because I can't add this. They're not like terms. So I'm going to distribute this in. 2 times 3x is 6x plus 2 times 8 is 16. So we're going to add in this distributive property step, which we have to do because of those parentheses. All right, that step is done. Now we're going to move our x's to the left and our numbers to the right. So I'm going to do this in the same step like we were doing last 2 weeks ago at school or whenever we were in school. I'm going to move, or if we did this, it may have been algebra 1. I don't remember now. I'm all messed up. I'm going to pick up my 6x and move it to the left. Remember, if there's no sign right here, it's an understood plus. Then I'm going to pick up my plus 9 here, and I'm going to move it over. All right, I'm not touching my 9x. Now I'm going to move my understood plus 6x over, and it's going to become minus 6x because of that inverse operation. I'm not touching my 16, and now I'm going to move my plus 9 over, and because of inverse, it becomes minus. Now, several of you I FaceTime today, and remember what I told you guys, is that whatever you move, write it second, write it at the end of that term. It doesn't really matter as much here, but some of you are really struggling today with those fractions and dividing them, and you ended up flipping the wrong fraction because you put it in the wrong place. So whatever you're moving, put it second. All right, so all of our x's are to the left, whole numbers are to the right. Remember, we did that using the inverse or the opposite operation. Okay, step 4, we're going to add our like terms. On the left side, we have 9x minus 6x. Watch your negatives there. This is 9 minus 6, which is simply 3. 16 minus 9 is, okay, sorry, someone was talking to me. 7. All right. And now we are going to check our steps. We used distributive property. We did that. We moved all of our x's to the left. We moved all of our numbers to the right. We added our like terms. Now our last step is going to be to divide. Why am I dividing? Because I'm going to look here and I'm multiplying, and the inverse of multiplication is division. And remember, we're going to write it as a fraction instead of using a division sign, because these are not all going to simplify. And this way we can see it as a fraction versus this. That's not very helpful. So what we're going to do is we're going to write it as a fraction, because remember, operationally, a fraction is simply division. Okay? Now, we can leave it improper, but we have to reduce it. In this case, 7 over 3 is already simplified as far as it can go. I boxed that in all kind of wonky. Now, your textbook, if you're looking at example 6, it simplifies that back into a mixed number. I don't really care right now about that. We will add that in later because technically you're supposed to. 7th grade, 8th grade, you can leave it. But right now I am more concerned about making sure you guys have the steps down. Okay? That is it for example 6 on page 120. Now I want you guys to try this on your own. Page 120, try it 6. Guys, I want you to pause the video, work this problem, and then come back and check it. Don't be lazy here. Don't pretend that you do it and then check it, but actually work this problem and check it. I'm not there to make sure you're doing this, so please do what you're being asked to do as if I was standing right there looking at your face. Okay? Work the problem, pause the video, and then turn it back on after you've worked it. Okay. Let's work this together to see if you have the correct answer. Remember, your first step was distributive property. Why? Because I can't do anything inside of here. So I'm going to do this in. I can't do anything here, so I'm going to multiply this in. So your next step, now because you've already worked this, I'm going to work this out just quickly. 2 times 9 is 18. Yes, it took me that long to figure that out because I'm tired. So 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 2 is 14. Equals 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times 9 is 18. Next step, we need to move our x's to the left and our numbers to the right. Remember, to make it a little easier, put what you're moving second. My understood plus 4x is going to become minus. Remember, no sign is an understood plus. My plus 14 is going to become minus 14. Like terms is my next step. 7x minus 4x is 3x. 18 minus 4 is 4. Last step is to divide. And remember, because we can leave it as a mixed number, because we can leave it as an improper fraction, it just must be reduced. We're welcome to leave it just like that as 4 over 3, and that's your answer. Okay? If you did not get that, look at what you did on your paper, because you all worked this problem, right? And then see if you can find your mistake. If you have a question, you can text me while you watch it. Do not panic at this problem. It's long. It's a big problem. You will have one in your assignment today that's that's about this long. So I wanted you guys to practice the long one before, and let me walk you through it as well before you jumped into your assignment today. So we're going to follow the same steps, but we're going to add one extra thing in here. Okay, we're still going to distribute things here. I don't know why I put that. We're still going to distribute, so I'm just going to put distribute. I'm going to add a second step in here. I'm going to put a little star here beside it, and I'm going to put like terms down here. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Then I'm going to say x's to the left, numbers to the right, then divide. Nope, not divide, not yet. Like terms again. I'm really bad with this pen. And then divide. So, go ahead and give this a shot. Pause the video, try the problem, and then come back and see if you were right. Try to get as far as you can all by yourself. Okay, pause the video. All right, now that you've worked the problem, let's see if we can get to the same answer that you got to. So I'm going to start working this. 5 times 3x, we have to distribute, right, is 15x. 5 times, watch that, negative 7, okay? Watch your signs. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. Negative 2 times negative 8 is positive 16. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14x. I know I'm doing this fast, but you've already done it, right? All right, this 13 stays. We're not using that right now. Negative 3, watch those signs. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15 because 2 negatives equals a positive. Now, I did that quick, but you've already done it, so you should be good to go. Now, what I do when I have big things on each side, I add this if step in here. If I can, I'm going to add like terms. The reason is when I start these steps here, I have to use the inverse operation, right? Which means my pluses are going to become minuses, my minuses are going to become pluses, and the more things I move, the larger margin of error I'm going to have, which means the more opportunities of missing a sign present themselves. So to narrow that down, let's add our like terms. Now remember, don't cross this equal sign when we're adding like terms, okay? Here's an x, here's an x. Here's a whole number, here's a whole number. Don't cross that equal sign, okay? Now, that 15x minus 14x is 1x. And no, you don't have to write the 1, but I'm going to put it there so I don't lose it. And then I have negative 35 plus 16. Remember, different signs are going to subtract. Keep the sign from the bigger number, so I get negative 19. Equals, on this side, I have a 13 and a negative 18, and then this x is all, 15x is all by itself. So I'm going to leave that 15x there, and then I'm going to do my 13 minus 18. Different signs I subtract and keep the sign from the bigger number. All right? Now again, I could have done 3 and 4. I could have gone ahead and moved everything over and then added my like terms, but I like to simplify first. It helps my brain. Now I'm going to move my x's to the left, whole numbers to the right. If that's too much for you to do in one step, that's fine. You can do them separately. Ooh, that is not what I meant to write. I am not touching my 1x. It's still crooked. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm going to move my understood positive 15. Remember, no sign is an understood plus. I'm going to move my plus 15x over. It's going to become minus 15x. My minus 5 is still right there. I'm going to pick my negative 19 up and I'm going to move it, and it's going to become the opposite, which is a plus. All right, so I used my distributive property. Then I added my like terms. Then I moved my x's and my whole numbers. Now I'm going to like terms again. 1x minus 15x is negative 14x. Negative 5 plus 19 is is positive 14. Different signs, subtract and keep the sign from the bigger number. My last step is to divide. Whatever you're moving is going to go on the bottom. And then I have to reduce this or convert it, and it just gives me -1 as my answer. So hopefully you did that and you got -1. You only will have one that long in your work you're going to do in a few minutes. Now it's your turn, and we're going to do this the same way we did yesterday. On page 112, at the very bottom of that page, you have exercise 5.2. Today you're going to do number 1. We're not going to do number 2 probably until next week. So, oh, goodness. Right now, work on number 1. Just like yesterday, I want you to send me a picture of your work because I know you have the answers in the back of your book. And I don't mind at all if you check them. Actually, I want you to check them so that you know that you're doing them correct. So, if you didn't know that, you have answers in the back of your book. And these answers are on page 226. Exercise 5.2, number 1 is what I want you to do. There are quite a few fractions as your answers. Now, guys, your answer key converts these to mixed numbers. So you can either convert your answer to match the answer key if you want, or you can wheel the mixed numbers in the back of your book to check with your unconverted answers. All right. So yesterday, I had to FaceTime. I shouldn't say I had to. I should say I got to. I was so excited to FaceTime some of you to help with math. If you need help with your math, feel free to FaceTime me. I will tell you, I'm doing school with my littles at home also, and so the first maybe 9 to 11, I will be pretty swamped with them. But if you need me, go ahead and call me. Some of you yesterday I just texted you, said give me 5 minutes so I could get them started and then I could help you. All right. You can also text me questions, but sometimes walking through these gets a little more difficult. Now the good news is there's no fractions within these problems. That will help. That seemed to be a big problem yesterday, was adding in the fractions. So hopefully you guys will be good to go on these. If you get stuck, let me know.